told you that Japan's past is full of secrets that can change the way you see the world? Have you ever wondered how a tiny group of islands grew into one of the most unique cultures on Earth? Today, we're diving into a story of legends, wars, art, and spirit that has shaped Japan for thousands of years. This journey will take us through ancient times, dramatic battles, cultural revolutions, and modern triumphs. We will explore real events and enduring myths that have defined the land of the rising sun. By the end of our journey, you'll see that Japan's story is not just about samurais and ninjas, but about resilient people who adapted through every challenge. Many people think Japan's history is simply about sword fights and epic duels. They miss the deep layers of art, philosophy, and everyday life that built the nation. The challenge is to understand how a blend of traditions and innovations turned a series of small tribes into a powerful, modern country. The story starts over 14,000 years ago with the first people who settled on these islands. They left behind pottery with unique chord marks that still fascinate archaeologists today. These early settlers, known as the Jomon people, lived close to nature and developed skills that were ahead of their time. They made tools from stone and used natural resources in smart ways. Soon after, a new group called the Yayoi people arrived and brought with them rice farming and metalworking. This shift in lifestyle created a more settled way of living, and communities began to form. Trade and cultural exchange between these groups helped shape the early social structures of Japan. The merging of ideas from the Jomon and Yayoi periods laid the groundwork for a rich cultural heritage. Small clans began uniting and forming larger groups during the Kofun period. Power struggles between these clans led to the construction of large burial mounds for their leaders. These mounds were more than just graves. They were symbols of authority and emerging state power. The belief that rulers were almost divine was born during this time. Buddhism made its way from China and Korea, offering new ideas about life and death. This new religion mixed with local traditions and changed the way people thought about the world. The blending of native beliefs with Buddhism set the stage for a unique spiritual identity. By uniting under a common culture, Japan began to form the outlines of a nation. During the Asuka and Nara periods, Japan started to develop government systems influenced by China. The country saw the birth of its first written records, capturing legends and laws alike. Monuments like grand temples and statues were built to honor gods and ancestors. The Nara period was marked by the establishment of a capital that became the heart of the nation. Next came the Heian period, a golden age for art and poetry. At the imperial court, refined tastes in literature, music, and painting blossomed. The elegant writings from this time, like the tale of Genji, still captivate readers around the world. This era created a lasting impression that continues to influence Japanese art and culture. Power began to shift from the central court to local military leaders. This was the start of feudal Japan, where the samurai rose to prominence. The samurai were more than just fighters. They lived by a strict code of honor called bushido. This code emphasized loyalty, courage, and respect, shaping their every action. Local lords, known as daimyos, relied on these warriors to protect their lands. The period was filled with constant battles and shifting alliances that defined the era. The Genpei War is one of the most famous conflicts where samurai clashed in epic battles. Stories of these warriors have been passed down for generations, becoming legends of their own. the samurai left a mark on every part of Japanese culture, from martial arts to literature, and their legacy continues to inspire many today. The arrival of Western powers in the 19th century forced Japan to change in ways it never expected. For centuries, Japan had been isolated from the rest of the world under strict rules known as sakoku. When foreign ships arrived, it sparked both fear and excitement among the people. In 1868, the Meiji Restoration began, marking a dramatic turning point in Japanese history. This period saw the dismantling of the old feudal system and the rise of a new government. The country rapidly adopted Western technology, ideas, and ways of life. Old traditions were questioned as Japan opened its doors to new influences. The pace of change was dizzying, and many struggled with the loss of the old ways. However, this transformation helped Japan become a modern industrialized nation in a short time. The 20th century was a time of both innovation and deep pain for Japan. World War II is a significant and controversial chapter in the nation's history. The country experienced immense suffering during the war, with cities turning to rubble and lives lost in an instant. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki remain some of the darkest moments in history. These tragedies forced Japan to reevaluate its path and rebuild from the ground up. After the war, Japan made a commitment to peace and focused on rebuilding its economy. In the decades that followed, the nation transformed into a technological powerhouse. The scars of war remain, but they also serve as a reminder of the importance of peace and resilience. This period shows how a nation can rise again even after facing overwhelming adversity. Japan's story doesn't end with conflict. It is a tale of constant rebirth and innovation. Today, ancient temples stand proudly beside modern skyscrapers, symbolizing a blend of old and new. Traditional practices like tea ceremonies and calligraphy continue to be celebrated. At the same time, Japan is known for its cutting-edge technology and futuristic cities. This balance creates a culture that respects history while pushing forward into the future. Festivals and local traditions remind everyone of the nation's rich past. Every festival is a celebration of the history and values passed down through generations. In this way, Japan shows the world that progress and tradition can go hand in hand. As one local artist once said, "Every corner of Japan tells a story of past struggles and future hope." That quote captures the essence of a people who never forget where they came from. Let's take a closer look at some of the events that shaped Japan into what it is today. We begin with the early myths that explained the origins of the islands. These creation stories mixed the real with the magical, giving people a sense of purpose and identity. They told of gods descending from the heavens and forming the islands with their bare hands. While these myths may not be fact, they set the stage for a culture rich in symbolism and respect for nature. Next, we explore the arrival of Buddhism, which changed the spiritual landscape forever. Buddhism offered new ideas about life, suffering, and rebirth that resonated with the people. One of the first Buddhist temples, Horyuji, was built during this time and still stands today. This temple has witnessed centuries of change and remains a symbol of spiritual endurance.